Welcome into the Inside Bassmaster Podcast, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, episode 159. And I'm your host today, like usual, Ronnie Moore. My co-host, like always, the man, the myth, the legend, Kyle Jessie over in Birmingham. And Kyle, we can officially say the 2023 Bassmaster tournament season is done. Last week was the Bassmaster Team Championship down at the Harris Chain. We have wrapped up that full field weigh-in. We wrapped up 2 days of fish off competition between 6 anglers, and we are officially in what we would call an abbreviated off season, with the next event on our schedule being something in 2024.
Yeah, we finished the 2023 schedule just in time to start the 2024 schedule. That tends to be the case. Obviously, it's we have a lot of tournaments, and there's only so many weekends in the year. So, being able to have the team tournament down there in Florida in December, there's plenty of places you could have the team tournament in December where we'd be ice fishing or we'd be really cold. But luckily, Florida gives everybody the opportunity to endure some good fishing and some nice weather. And I say nice weather, sometimes it can be just as bad as anywhere else, but definitely cool to get the season knocked out. And like you said, on to preparation for next season, as if we haven't already been doing that as it is. But that's starting to amplify even more with fantasy fishing, with production stuff for next year. Basically anything you can think of, we're already working on it for next year and have been.
No doubt about it. And the way that we ended it with one of our grassroots trail. We ended it with the nation championship a little bit ago, and then we had the team championship be the culmination of it. You've got partners from all over the country that compete in their local and regional team series to qualify and make the Bassmaster Team Championship. Big field there. 51 pounds it took to win, 20-pound bag and a 31-pound bag for a father-son duo of Rodney Yavorsky and Aaron Yavorsky. They're the champs. Then they went to the fish off, and it always is an interesting deal. I remember this balance that we had to have at Lake Chautauqua for the college series, Kyle, where you are competing at the national championship on this lake, and then the bracket is also on that lake. So you're not only managing, we got to catch as much as we can catch. You're also trying to save some stuff in case you make the bracket. You've got, other areas that you can press and pressure as well. And that's exactly what these guys had to do. And we get to talk to our champion today, Aaron Yavorsky, a 17-year-old high school angler fishing with his dad. Let's just reflect on that for the first off, because we both have great relationships with our fathers and that are rooted in bass fishing and fishing together in tournaments. And what a moment that would be to outlast, all of these teams in the country, to win the team championship in your home state with your son, or if in our position with our dad. Absolutely a phenomenal moment for those two.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's about as cool as it gets. Like you said, being able to do that with your dad, again, like you said, in your home state, and then to be able to slam the door of the team portion of the tournament, like you said, with 31 pounds. I mean, it's one of those deals where every day you'd be watching weigh-in and you saw that and you're like, man alive. Like, we seem almost like, I don't know how to word this, but like almost like removed from tournaments. And then you see a 31-pound bag get caught and you just like revamped all the way again. And you're like, oh my gosh, like we're still doing this right now. So really cool to see. And then of course, like you said, once it gets down to not the bracket, but the fish off, of course, definitely some hard decisions to be made there. Splitting water, how you handle it, a lot to be determined there. And I think it'll be interesting to hear from Aaron on how they went about doing that as well.
Yeah, and I think there's always we saw Matt Robertson when I threw up the memory of him winning the team championship and fish off portion down at the Harris Chain as well back in 2018. The fact that there will always be a partner that almost says, this guy is committed and dedicated and wants to be a traveling pro, and that may now be for me. So I'm going to negate to him today. I did pitch out an idea to Hank Weldon. I think I said, let me read the idea that I said, because it is the top 3 teams all get split up into individuals, but not a bracket, just everyone against everyone. And I texted Hank Weldon and said, what did I say on Saturday? I said,
did he text you back?
No, he did not text me back. He might have been like at vacation. I don't know. But I said to avoid teammates laying down in the bracket or laying down in the fish off, we could do a bracket. First place gets a bye into the deal. Second place co-angler faces third place boater. Second place boater faces third place co-angler, and then they both advance to get to the first place people for a bye. That would add one more day to the tournament overall, because it would be 3 days worth of stuff. But I think it would take a little bit of the worry out of it. But why don't we go ahead and jump on in to talk to the youngest qualifier for the Bassmaster Classic, Aaron Yavorsky, 17 years old, and I think he turns 18 just a week or so before the Bassmaster Classic. And what an absolute awesome story to have him represent all the young kids across the country. Aaron, can you hear us? I can't hear you. You're muted. Hold on.
Can you hear me
now can you hear us? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Aaron, I'm Ronnie. That's Kyle in the other window. And welcome into the Bassmaster Podcast, man. Congratulations on winning not only the team championship with your dad, but then the team fish off portion solo to make the Bassmaster Classic. And we had just introduced you as the youngest classic qualifier ever. How cool is that? What were your first thoughts as you've kind of had just a day or two kind of to absorb all this?
Yeah, first I just want to thank you guys for having me on here today. But it's been a crazy couple of days. Never really thought I'd be going to the Bassmaster Classic at 17 years old. It's been a dream, ever since I've been a kid. Never really been to a Bassmaster Classic before. Watched plenty of them, on live television and everything. But, it's just one of them dreams that you always dream of. And it's just been a crazy experience.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I remember watching the weigh-in. I know Ronnie was doing the same thing, the final day weigh-in, and it was just hard to fathom because I was like, when I was 17, I had no business being anywhere near the Bassmaster Classic as anything but a fan. But dude, you knocked it out of the park. Like, not only did you win the thing, but you blew out the competition. Like, that final day, surely, I guess the question is, at what point did you know you had it won? I mean, truthfully, when did you know you had it won?
So that first day I did pretty good solo doing a dirty.
Let's
30.
just say, hold on, yeah. Let's just say pretty good is different. 31 pounds is different. So we'll just say that 31 pounds, you did pretty good. Now you're going to day 2. Okay, resume.
Yeah, day 2. I mean, it was a tough day for sure. Being that it was the lowest weight we had caught out of all 4 days. But at around noon, I had no fish in the boat, and I was getting really nervous actually. Because second place, all Connor needed was 16 pounds, even if I didn't have anything, just to bump me down. But at around 1 o'clock, I finally boated a limit, and that's pretty much when I knew. I think it'll happen.
So tell us about. Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
I was just gonna say, and it had to happen pretty quick, I imagine, because Dalton Tumblin, our photographer at the event, called me whenever he left. He's like, dude, I'll be honest, I'll send these photos in, but we don't have any fish catches yet. And I was sitting there updating Bass Track all day, and then just like in the span of no time whatsoever, it's like went from 0 to 5. So like, how quick did that happen, and what was that like?
Yeah. So I got in there that morning, and it was pretty slow, obviously, but I had ended up leaving the lake I was fishing, Lake Carlton, to just try and catch a fish or two in Dora. And I had actually my father, he pulled a Matt Robertson and held the spot down, and that wind picked up around noon, and that's when I knew I needed to get back in there because for some reason on that final day there was a lot less bait in there, and I'm pretty sure that's what all was happening. So that wind picked up, got back in there, and it was almost immediately I had caught one, and just that limit came right then.
So tell me about that. Fishing with your dad, me and Kyle were just reflecting on that. We both have great relationships with our fathers, and it's all rooted in fishing, and we fish tournaments together, growing up through our ages. And so 17 years old, still in high school, fishing with your dad, and are you part of high school fishing as well with another partner? What was your plans for college? Does this change? And then also to tag in it, are you guys local in Florida to the Harris chain or to another one of the main lakes?
Yeah, so we live about an hour and a half, an hour 45 from the Harris chain over near the Clearwater, Tampa area. But I do fish in high school. We fish the Florida Bass Nation, the high school program. I've been fishing that ever since my freshman year. I'm a senior now, and before that, around 10 years old, I started fishing club tournaments with my father. Just a little local club around here. Gets maybe 40, 50, 60 boats a tournament. And that's really how I started, bass fishing, and just leading up to where I'm at now. Started a little, that club derby, and then I went into the junior club of that club, and then once I reached in the high school, started fishing the Florida Bass Nation, and that's been a fun program all through high school. Last year, I used to fish with a partner, Jet Stanley. He had graduated last year. Found myself a new partner for this year, and that's basically where we're at now.
College plans?
Haven't really decided yet. Not leaning more towards not going, honestly. Just gonna be working. And then I'll probably hop in the opens in 2025.
That's awesome.
Have you given it any thought to what it's going to be like pulling up to one of those local tournaments at 17 and basically puffing your chest out that you've already made the classic? Because if it was me, I would be doing that everywhere I went.
Yeah, haven't really got a chance to think about that yet, but I mean, I'm sure the time will come once we get out there.
So Aaron, tell me the balance. Like I said this to someone, this scenario, like I have a 1.5-year-old daughter, absolutely super excited to be a father. And I want to take care of my daughter, maybe future sons, whoever I'm blessed with. And I would do anything for them to succeed. But someone said in a group chat that me and Kyle are in, said something about that would be so cool to be a dad and give your son the opportunity to go to the Bassmaster Classic. And I was like, yeah, I would love to say, hey, son, I'll see you at the Classic when I'm on stage and you're in the crowd. But how did that go between you and your dad, sharing obviously the same spots as team partners? And then you go to the individual portion. Was there any kind of communication of like, I'm not even going to go to the main spots because I want you to have it, son, or what was the balance there? Because people will chirp on either side of it. And I'm just curious to know, like, if I was, I'd be like, Dad, just come fish with me. Like, don't just come, I'm going to make you fish with me over here because this is the juice.
Right. Yeah. I mean, before we had even, started fishing the tournament, we had already had these conversations about like, man, if we made like the final day, what would we do? And, and then we actually had made it. So, that night we were really deciding on what we should do. And, my dad, he wants to see me succeed in life, and he let me have the spot. He just kind of sat back and watched, and
very cool.
He watched me catch the whole 30 pounds basically on that first day, and it was awesome just having him there, rooting me on. But we made sure he got one just to get up there on stage.
Because I'll say, Aaron, that it is a family affair. You and your dad were right there boat to boat, but you don't even know this. My dad was in the photographer camera boat running that because he lives at the Harris chain. And so I know he was probably all kinds of emotional. He was sending me photos and videos of you landing a big one. And there was a couple people who cheered and things like that. And like, I know that he visualized giving me that opportunity if we were in that position. So absolute kudos to your dad, Rodney, for doing what any father would want to do for their son and give them an opportunity to succeed, Kyle.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to bring up. Like, obviously, we want to celebrate your accomplishment because it's amazing, and it's something that, I mean, let's be honest, there's a good chance it may never be broke again because you might not even have a driver's license to be, younger than you were making the Classic now. So it's a huge accomplishment. But like, let's talk about your dad for a second. Like his, I guess, come up through fishing and how he got you into it, because obviously it's something he's got to be passionate about to have gotten you into and passionate about at such an early age.
Yeah. He like I said, just we started fishing that club tournament, but I remember sitting down, one night at the dinner table. I was probably about 10 years old, and he used to fish with another partner around his age, and he also had a son. So he was just like, Aaron, his partner, his name's Chuck. He was like, Chuck, he said he's gonna go fish with his son, and I was just wondering if you had the interest in doing the same thing. And I really didn't know anything about it, so I was just like, yeah, sure, we'll try it out. And that's basically how it all started. We started fishing, the ponds around the house and everything like that, but it really just started just straight tournament fishing.
So I have a couple questions for you. We can rapid fire some of these if you want, but just so we can get to know you better. 17-year-old, watches Bass Live all the time. Obviously, you have to have a favorite pro. Who is someone that you're looking forward to competing at the Classic against? Not only just like meeting, you'll have plenty of times to schmooze at the awards ceremony and all the dinners that we have and things for the Classic, but to be able to compete against and be like, holy cow, I'm like, let's just say they pulled up to the dock beside you at Grand Lake, that you would be like, I got to say, hey, because this is my hero.
Yeah. One guy, man, that's a hard question, honestly. But I'd have to say, honestly, Koya Fujita. I
Wow.
just feel like he's, a little bit of a different response maybe, but just the way he fishes, it's honestly incredible. Still, somewhat new to the Elite Series, but he's just got if I could just sit down and talk to him, honestly, it'd be pretty cool. But he's just got a different kind of fishing skills, I guess.
That Ronnie, I gotta chime in here because this is something I hadn't even thought about until just now. You said Koya Fujita, Koya, well known for live scope. The only thing that might be talked about as much this last week,
I was gonna bring it up too.
your accomplishment was your Instagram title or your Instagram, name. I don't know what the username, tag name, whatever.
Handle. Yeah.
Handle. What am I thinking? So what went into that? And I assume based on the self-proclaimed greatest of all time scope goat, tell us what went into that, and have you gotten some comments as well? Because Ronnie and I saw a handful of messages, all positive, saying that it was hilarious. But have you gotten some responses from that yet?
Yeah, there's been a couple people that's reached out and asked me about it, and people think it's honestly great, and then you'll have some people who don't really think it's great, but
Randy Blockett.
The whole oh yeah. He hasn't reached out yet, but maybe here soon.
Well, let us know. We'll take care of Randy and any of the haters. I already know. I posted a congratulations to you making the Classic, and first comment someone said was, I wonder what his dad does for a living. And I'm like, as if that makes a difference. So just don't worry. I'll fight the good fight for the young guns, because everyone has paved the way for, no one's ever made it to their dreams on their own with no one's help. Everyone's gotten some kind of, and so if it's coming from your dad, that is the coolest thing ever. Shield out all the haters that may try to diminish what you accomplished, or when you're at the Classic, that opportunity, you will not forget about those, or you will forget about those people instantly when those curtains pull back and you get to see everything every angler's ever dreamed of. So that's my only piece of advice from someone who's, holy cow, almost twice your age, and I'm only 30 years old. That's crazy. But go ahead. Scope goat. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I've read through plenty of them comments, and we've seen all the forward-facing Sonar debates and everything like that. But I believe it's a tool in the sport, and it's here to stay, I believe, and it's used to just learn about what the activity of these fish, and just everything like that.
Well, then on that note, teach us something. We always talk about deep water, Kyoyo Fujita, smallmouth fishing, open spaces. I was just on Bass University Live, and they were talking about the effectiveness of it in shallow water. Have you been able to see that difference, or at least maybe it helps you see structure and be more efficient? What is it for you in Florida, where people wouldn't expect? That's the one state in the country where you would be like, you don't need it to be successful. Very true. But how have you learned about Florida fishing in a different way, utilizing that at times?
Yeah, in Florida, most people think, shallow fishing, flipping, fishing grass, but it's really opened up a whole new way of fishing down here in Florida. There's a handful of guys that use it down here, but then you still have most of the people on the bank and doing whatever up shallow. But it's really just showed us, this whole new, I guess, area or so that these fish are holding in, and you know, it helps in shallow water too down here. Like we seen what's his name down in Okeechobee throwing the frog. Steve Kennedy on Okeechobee.
Oh yeah, the perspective mode. Yep.
Using it in perspective mode, that really works down here. When you get really shallow, but it's great down here just to get away from most of the pressured shallow fish. But you can definitely tell it's affecting the fish a little bit down here pressure wise. More people are starting to use it and understand it, but that's just part of it.
While we're on the fishing subject, actual fishing, I got to know about the spot. Obviously, you don't have to give us too much information as far as where it was and things like that. You obviously said Carlton, but the Harris Chain is such a unique place in the sense that it's very similar to some of the, Tennessee River Lake, some of the traditional places where you can find an offshore school and really get right in a hurry. And, from an outsider's perspective, you'd look at the Harris Chain, Florida in general, and you wouldn't really think that. But some of the biggest bags of fish I've ever seen consistently get caught are at the Harris Chain doing something similar to, what you were doing. So kind of set up the spot, like what it looked like, what it was, I guess. And then obviously how good it had to been to hold up for at least 3 days. And then I guess partially 4.
Yeah. Like I said, it's in Carlton. It's a big, hard bottom area. And usually when, being a Florida local, I guess, this spot is produced plenty of times in December and when it gets cold. So, it was actually the first spot I'd went to on day one of practice and checked, and they were in there, obviously. Not as good as the tournament, actually. There were less fish in there day one of practice, but that cold weather had moved in later in the week and really pulled up a lot of fish there. Really just it's a pre-spawn area that fish just pull up on and feed before the spawn. Plenty of shad get over there, bait fish, everything like that. But just going up and down it, just throwing a crankbait. Really, they kind of seemed a little pressured. I'm not really sure why, but had to hit the fish with the crankbait almost to get them aggravated. Just keep doing that over and over, and just run it right by their face. More of a reaction strike. Couldn't even get bit on anything, dragging or anything like that. All they would do was really bump it or mess with it.
And then obviously, did you guys have other game plans when you have a big field of anglers and 8 lakes on the Harris Chain to choose from? Is this the place that you thought was the least bombarded? And did you have other spots in Griffin, Eustis, Harris, Dora that maybe you were wanting to go to, but maybe boat number prevented you to, or you were going to try to save it for later? How did you balance all of the practice and using local knowledge and current conditions and history to pick out a lake? Because that's where you probably lose half the tournament field knows they can't win because they chose the wrong lake right off the rip.
Right. Yeah. We honestly, going into day one of the tournament, didn't even know that this spot had the potential it did. The very first day of the tournament, me and Dad, we actually we ran to a Popka first thing, trying to just catch a big bag out of there, because we really thought with the colder weather the fish would pull up, get ready to spawn, but it didn't happen. There were still a lot of bucks in the area, but we went down there in day one. We had about like 20-mile-an-hour winds, and in Florida, the wind really affects shallow fisheries. It'll muddy up the water very quick, and one key thing when you're fishing in Florida is you want to try and find the cleaner water. And the area we had fished, it wasn't panning out, so we ended up leaving there day one with only 3 little fish, and we got in Carlton on our way back at around 11 o'clock, and we mustered up about 18 pounds, and we had a bunch of offshore areas on our way back to hit, and with about 10 minutes left in Lake Harris, we had upgraded to about 20 pounds. So, but we went second day, the first thing to Carlton, and we pretty much knew after the first day that okay, it's got potential, a little bit more than we had expected, and we went in there and we'd caught 31 pounds by about 12 o'clock. So we were like, okay, we still have a bunch of fish saved. We should probably we sat on the spot basically and just totally just didn't do anything, honestly. Just sat there and just held it down, honestly. We had one other boat fishing around us, fishing the spot. We were sharing it with them, but they caught them decent, just didn't qualify for the last day.
It had to be a little bit nerve-wracking, Kyle, for them to they weren't leading. They had 20 pounds. They were down the leaderboard, not in the top spot. 25 was leading. And so, I mean, Florida, like 30-pound bags are very possible. So did you, Aaron, think that maybe the leaders who had 25 could do it again or catch 30 and you guys had done all you could do? Was that something in your mind, or did you guys rolling in like, well, we probably won this thing?
Yeah, we had kind of had the thought that we had won it, but we really didn't know, just because a lot of the guys were fishing shallow, but shallow fish, I guess, in Florida, they can hold up for multiple days, but more than likely, they kind of peter out through the week.
Well, let's talk about baits for a second. Obviously, some was mentioned throughout some of the stories and gamers for the tournament, but for those that haven't read that, talk about some of the baits you used to get it done.
Yeah, so basically all week we were throwing a Rapala DT10, a Strike King 5XD, and the Berkeley Dredger 14.5.
Wow. Do you, I would say, are you guys familiar in using crankbaits in Florida to that depth? Obviously, you said there is deep water in some of these lakes. I know down south of Tampa, before you get to Okeechobee in that region, there are some deeper, clearer lakes. But most of the lakes, you wouldn't even consider pulling that box out or tying it on. You leave it in the garage at the house just in case you go, up north somewhere to Seminole, maybe. Who knows? So is that something that you've really got a lot of experience with cranking, or is this something you've been learning recently with the technology?
Yeah, it's really been something I do very often. Most of the time, this might sound weird being a Floridian, but most of the time the boxes I'm leaving at home are the frogs, the top waters, things like that. But I love offshore fishing, and the big fish I feel like live offshore mainly. And it's just one of my favorite ways to fish, honestly.
Well, we've obviously hinted at the Classic a lot. Have you had time to consider any preparation for the Classic itself? Like, was it the drive back? You were already looking at lake maps, or what has that been so far? And do you have any planned between now and then?
Yeah, we knew that we're probably gonna have to get down there and definitely look around a little bit before the cutoff, which is only in a couple weeks. But I think we have some dates planned to make a trip over there and just get a look at the lake. But today was really the first day I'd been able to do some research and see what the lake looks like and how it's set up. So I'm pretty excited for the tournament, the way it sets up. I think it'll be pretty fun.
Tell me what it was like walking into class on Monday. I know you're a senior in high school. You only had class until like 10:45 on Tuesday. Tell me about walking into class with maybe some of your fishing buddies that you probably share class with, what that was like. Your teacher, hey, it's Florida. They may know about the Bassmaster Classic, but everyone in that had to be pretty dang cool for the fishermen in high school to be like, holy cow, man, you're going to the Classic? That's got to be cool.
Yeah. It was pretty weird, honestly, walking up in there. After I had missed a week before that just to practice for the team championship. So my teachers were wondering where I was, but I mean, most of my buddies that I go to school with, they don't really fish a whole lot, so they didn't really know too much about it. But a bunch of my other buddies from around Florida and stuff, they texted me and all the good stuff like that. But actually, I've gotten a lot of messages from just other high school anglers, around the country, just like congratulating me and wondering, a good path to do what I did. And I think it's really looking good for a generation coming up in the sport of bass fishing.
Asking for waypoints is what they were doing. That's what you meant to say. They're
hey, what are your live scope settings set at?
Yeah. I did want to kind of touch on that. Obviously, you mentioned the possibility of trying to fish the opens, not next year, but the year following. Was that already kind of part of your life plan? And how much did this, tournament and winning this and qualifying for the Classic either help potentially make that decision? And then two, like just boost your confidence in general, just to know that like you're, meant to do this.
Yeah. This helped out a tremendous amount, obviously, but before it had happened, I already had the plans to, go, and we were still undecisive, honestly, before the tournament on whether to, go to college or just, work and fish and grind it out. But I think now after this tournament, it's really put me more in the path of just, working and grinding out the whole fishing thing. But I mean, it's been, just a dream ever since I've been little, just to become a pro in the sport of bass fishing. And I think it's here soon that I'm going to be ready.
So tell me about 2022 Harris Chain High School Bassmaster event, and you come in 9th place, but you only have 4 fish. What in the world did you do wrong to not catch a 5th keeper? Come on, man. Like you're the Harris Chain kid now. But back in 2022, you guys had a top 10. It looked like it was tough, but I looked you up online, and obviously you're so young, you didn't have too many tournament results with us, but that was one in your home state.
Yeah, that tournament, we were really on nothing, and just we had found a little group of fish during the tournament that actually the college series, I believe they had fished there and done pretty good. One of those 30-pound bags that came off of there. But there were obviously a lot of people in this area, and the fish were very pressured. So it was more size there than quantity. We really grinded out there on that spot all day, and come about weigh-in time, we couldn't get another bite, and we were like, oh gosh, we don't know if we were qualifying for nationals at that tournament. We didn't know if we were going to have enough, and we just kind of went scrambling around. But back then we didn't really have the knowledge we do now out there. That was kind of the year we really started fishing out there a lot and understanding the place. So, it was just kind of one of them deals where we didn't really know what to do.
Back in the day when you were 15 and not 17.
Yeah. He was like, I started fishing when I was 10. So like 2 years ago, no, I'm just kidding. Aaron, what is, just because I'm curious, what's your favorite subject in school right now? I've never had to interview someone on a podcast. I just have to ask some of these questions.
Yeah. Well, this year it's a little weird. So, back right before high school and elementary school, I started taking some honors classes, and I'm glad I did because I have enough credits now to graduate early, so I'm actually getting out of school this year. Here next week's my last week. I have
Wow.
exams, so after once Christmas break start, I'm basically off, and then I'll go walk in May. But who knows if I'll even be able to walk with all the tournaments I'm fishing. So don't really know if I'm gonna graduate, but I love math. I'm not taking it this year just because I'm graduating early and don't really need the credits. But that's one of my favorite subjects.
Kyle, he nailed down the math. He can count to 5 pretty quick, and that's all he needs. At 5 and 31, that's what he needs to count to, and he'll be good.
I couldn't help but be curious being able to finish high school early. Back in the dinosaur ages when Ronnie and I were going to high school, they didn't even give us that choice.
Yeah, we just had to keep going to
The smartest-
classes.
You'd be the smartest person in the school and you still had to go till May. They didn't care.
And now we have to
Yeah.
say that, like, every single Bassmaster writer that writes a story about Aaron at the Classic, they'll probably say, like, had to skip school to come to the Classic. That's going to be a lie. He's already out of school. We're going to just make up the lie that he graduated early just so he was not distracted for the Classic. Also, Aaron, I'll present this as a long way away, and it's a long shot in terms of never happening before, but there is a deal. If someone wins the Bassmaster Classic and they're not already on the Elite Series, so let's just say the college representative or an Opens angler that won an event but didn't qualify for the Elites, or the team fish-off champion, a nation angler, if you win the Classic, you make the Elite Series for the following season. So don't sign up for the Opens just yet, because if you win in March, you don't have to fish the Opens. You'll just be on the Elite Series, and you'll have 1 year to get ready. But how have you thought about that? That there is a lot of future opportunities that await you for a week of fishing and events and tournament action. That this is something that you're gonna. I'm assuming your dad's gonna go and hang out with you all week as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we were kind of talking about that. I'm not really sure like the whole experience going to the classic just because I've never been, but there were just some things coming to mind that might happen. Who really knows? But I'm just gonna enjoy it, just soak it all in while I can, and just go have fun, really.
I can't help but wonder, you might not even have paid attention to this, or maybe you have, who knows, but how much does somebody like Trey McKinney being able to jump in the Opens and qualify so quickly and seemingly so easy, as if it's like an easy task, how much does that give somebody like yourself confidence that, it's not a undoable, it's not an unreasonable thought that that's possible? Because I think before seeing Trey do it, I think there's plenty of younger guys out there that probably just didn't have the confidence to even, give it a chance.
Yeah, right. I'd watched him like basically all year, with him being 18, and it was really crazy what he did. Props to him for making the Elite Series at 18. I thought that was great, but he boosted my confidence up, and but what had really got me going was back in March. This was the first year I started fishing the BFLs, and I'd placed third at Harris Chain against some of the locals around here, and it would really boost my confidence. Like, man, um, I could really make something out of this. I just beat a bunch of good Harris Chain locals. So after that March tournament, I'd really started just putting in the work, the grind, and my determination. Really, just it was out of the roof, really.
That's phenomenal. Aaron, before we let you go, have you fished much out of the state of Florida? Do you have any experience? Obviously, maybe like a Lake Seminole is right there on the border. It's a little different than the rest of Florida. Maybe a Lake Hartwell, high school championship or something like that. But can you name off a couple of the places you've been, at least to get a different experience in fishing?
Yeah. For our Florida high school tournaments, the Bass Nation, we go to Seminole quite a bit. So I've been there a handful of times, and then I qualified for the high school national championship in 2021, I believe, on Lake Chickamauga. and then the past two high school national championships on Lake Hartwell. I've been there, and then just recently I was over at Lake Eufaula in Alabama. I believe that's. I actually just recently went fishing in Texas too with my grandpa on a little local lake, but that's about all I've fished out of Florida.
Well, you may have to bring some pants and a hoodie. It looks like you got the hoodie down pat, and maybe a buff for the wind in Oklahoma. But Aaron, overall, congratulations to not only you, but the Yavorsky family, your dad being a part of that duo for the team championship as well. It's very cool. Almost brings a tear to my eye to see a dad care about a son enough to give him the chance to succeed in the future, because I know that's all that my parents and Kyle's family has done for him, to get us to where we're at here with Bassmaster, pushing us and giving those opportunities. So tell your dad we said, hey, we hope to meet him at the Classic. He'll be able to go anywhere you go with his caddy pass. Everybody gets a 1 caddy pass, and he could be your driver for the week. He might actually legally have to be your. No, I'm just kidding. You probably can drive, but yeah, that'll be great. And we will see you at the Classic. Let us know if you ever need anything from us. But congratulations on history. 17 years old to qualify for the Classic, and I think you'll turn 18 a week or two before the Classic. You can't get much younger than that. So congrats, Aaron.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you guys for having me on here today, Ronnie and Kyle. Just thank you guys.
Awesome. History breaking, Kyle, for Aaron Yavorsky. Like we said, the youngest angler to ever make the Classic, and to do it through the team series, a grassroots series that shows that there's a lot of opportunities. High school route, he did that. Obviously the team route, the Bass Nation series was mentioned. College may not be for him. Hey, it wasn't for JT Tompkins either, and it's worked out pretty good for JT. So there's so many routes to making your dream come true. Absolutely cool to talk to a 17-year-old, about as calm, cool, and collected of a 17-year-old. I honestly, Kyle, I'm pretty hyped up now. I think I got the right career for speaking for a living and talking a lot. But man, I was probably bouncing off the walls as a 17-year-old, even more than I am now.
It's hard to even like put in perspective. Like when you really think about it, like 17 years old fishing the Bassmaster Classic. Like, I don't know what my dreams and ambitions were when I was 17, but fishing the Classic probably wasn't even, I mean, fishing the Classic was a dream of mine at that point, but like a dream would be an exaggeration. I mean, I think it was so far in the, away as far as a dream is concerned that that wouldn't even have been a thought. And to think that he is going to be fishing the Classic, you said he'd be turning 18, I guess, by the time the Classic starts, or just after.
Yeah,
which
but
one was
still, yeah. I mean, the only
Either way.
person right now could break it would him if he won the Classic at the age of 18 in 2 weeks or whatever it is, to qualify for the Elite Series at the age, like he would be starting his Elite Series career at 18 years old, just like Trey McKinney, but just a different. And there's 56 anglers in the Classic. If Aaron finishes 56th, it will be a week that he will never forget in his life. I would pay good money to get last in the Bassmaster Classic, no doubt about it, because that is
You get paid good money to finish last.
Yeah,
in the
you
Classic.
actually do get paid good money to get last in the Classic, but that's something that not just participating, but actually like qualifying for and being a part of the Classic. Very few percentage of people in the world and the US population and the world population has ever got to do that. So, I mean, just put me in it. Give me a shot and I'll just make the most of that week. So we'll have to, Aaron can hang out with me. We'll both drink Kool-Aid at the table, since there'll be other things that others
won't even get a wristband. I mean, you at least have the choice. You won't even have the choice. I did want to mention this to Aaron, and I completely forgot. Just some bulletin board material. Brian Brasher may or may not have mentioned who is going to be the longest odds already.
Oh man,
to win. And yeah, we had a good chuckle about that the other day. And of course, that's never a negative. It's typically the whoever the college representative is, or whoever the team or nation or whatever it may be. That's just kind of the standard process on that. But he mentioned that
never been done. It's never been done.
Right.
So
kind of just jokingly, and I laughed and told him that he'll use that as motivation, and hopefully hopefully try to prove him wrong. But
I can't
looking
wait
forward
for
to
him to get, I literally can't wait for him to get stopped as he's pulling towards their arena. And they're like, "Sir, here's the rag if you want to wipe down the boats." And he's like, "I'm not one of the Bass Nation kid volunteers. I'm in the Classic. Thank you." like that, just
no kidding.
there's so many
No
ways.
kidding.
I hope we get to see him maybe at the Harris Chain and Palatka at the St. Johns River, one of those 2 weekends, to maybe make a guest appearance with, Mercer and Davey on the live show, or be around and just see the people he just competed against last month.
Just a wild thought in general. I mean, it really is. When you think about the years past, we've had the high school representatives like lead out the boats, obviously, on each day of the Classic, and peel off and not get to fish.
He'll be
He's
younger
not
than the high school champs.
Yeah, he'll be younger than those guys. He's actually going to be fishing it. Like, again, like it's just a crazy
stuff.
thought.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times you can say it, but I truly, like, it's just mind blowing, and I can't help but like smile just thinking about the fact that he's going to get to fish the Classic at 17, or qualify Classic 17. It's just nuts.
If he somehow got drawn randomly for the last boat to launch, if he was boat 56, that means on day 2 he's boat 1, which means it's going to be 2 high school kids leading out the Classic, one because they won the championship, one because they qualified for the championship. How crazy is that? But yeah, it's great to see that. Man, I would have put odds that it would have been a Jason Christie or Greg Hackney, but Kiyoya Fujita is somebody he wanted to talk to. Maybe he's our in, Kyle. We'll have to hire him at Bass if he just gets a rapport. That's how we'll get our Kiyoya info from Aaron.
Finally get to see what he's throwing. Maybe a little transparency about what baits he's been throwing all this time.
I spoke on the Bass University live earlier today of when we're recording this, and I had to give Kiyoya kudos. The event we thought he was hiding baits, Lake Murray, he was not, because after the day of competition, he gave a great interview that showed the baits and everything, but we didn't somehow get that interview in time to show on Bass Live. So we just thought he was hiding it. He was completely transparent about it, said the bait name and everything. So Kiyoya, I know you're a good dude. You're not just hiding baits from us. But Aaron Yavorsky, him and Rodney, his dad, and the rest of their family headed to the Bassmaster Classic. That concludes the 2023 Bassmaster tournament schedule for the year. Like we said, the next time we kick it off, it'll be in 2024, and it will be the college series at Lake Murray, late January. We'll have an open right after that. I think we have 2 college events and 2 opens before the first elite event, some kayak and nation in between as well. So the tournament season is just over a month and a half away from kicking off next year. And Kyle, I'll say this: we both went on a college shoot to Carson Newman University for another project we're working on, and we were surprised. We walked in the apartment, and they had B.A.S.S tournament banners on their wall. Aaron's got the dang team championship banner in his wall. How can we need a banner? Come on, man, we need banners.
I mean, literally everybody's getting banners, and we can't even get one.
We can't even get a banner.
A banner, we'd get shunned off the stage.
Unbelievable.
And these guys just got them hanging in their living room.
just a subtle flex. Oh, well, for Ronnie Moore and Kyle Jessie of the Inside Bassmaster Podcast, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, we're signing off. We got 2 more weeks left in the year. Probably going to bring you 2 more podcast episodes as well. So not goodbye for 2023, but goodbye for this episode. We will see you in the next one.